the Honorable Laura Toy will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, Councilmember Toy. Good evening and welcome to the October 18th study session of the Livonia City Council. This meeting sets the agenda for the 1,932nd regular meeting, a voting meeting that will take place on Monday, November 8th, 2021. I believe we have, oh, there he is. We have all members of the council with us this evening as soon as Mr. Jolly returns to us. I'd like to announce that we have new data on items 7 and 8. And the petitioner for item number 7 requested to move the item to the November 8th meeting. And item number 8, I'm sorry, it says petitioner for item 7 wanted to move the November 8th. Is it item 7 or 8? 8, I'm sorry, my mistake. So we are moving item number 8, which will come off tonight's agenda, and that will be moved to the November 8th study session. At this time, we go to the audience. If anyone in the audience would like to address the council on any item not in this evening's agenda, now is an opportunity to do so. All right, seeing none, we'll move ahead. This is a study meeting. There are no votes taken at this meeting. The council members will, however, offer either one resolution or a combination of resolutions for each item. Resolutions offered may include approving, denying, or referring resolution to a committee or city department for its report and recommendation. A resolution of no further action may also be offered. Some items will simply be offered, received, and filed for the information of the city council. Please note that all of the items on tonight's agenda will move on to the regular meeting of Monday, November 8th, 2021, where they will officially be voted on. If you would like to participate in any of the agenda items that are taken up this evening, please approach the podium, one of the podiums on either side of the room when the audience is called, and you'll be recognized at the appropriate time. Generally, the petitioner, whether that is the city or a private entity, will make the initial presentation, followed by remarks from those in the audience who wish to speak. So please come to the podium when the item is called. When you reach the podium and you're recognized, please state your name and address for the record so that your remarks may be properly attributed to you in the minutes for the meeting. This will also let the television audience and the council members know who is speaking to the item. And with that, we move ahead. New business. Item number 1 is a request to purchase city-owned property. This comes to us from Zach Alzett, and this is an offer to purchase city-owned property at 29660 Gaylord Court.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Zach Olziget. I live at
Could you say your name again, please?
Yes, Zach Olziget.
Olziget.
At 29656 Schoolcraft Road.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if I have 3 minutes or do I have some?
No, that doesn't apply
here.
when you're the petitioner. So
Okay,
you just.
then I will keep this very brief. Several months back, I was driving through the neighborhood when they were working on Schoolcraft Road. If you're all familiar with, they have some construction going on there. So I got, we'll say, lost in the back there on Gaylord Court. There's actually a nice little cul-de-sac there. And as I drove through there, turning back around and going back out, I realized that actually butts up against a property where we live currently at 29656 Schoolcraft. My father owns the property. We've been there for several years now. We're very happy in Livonia. And it came to mind that I should look into who owned the property. And as my luck would have it, it is the city of Livonia. So it's a little bit more involved than going to the owner, obviously, and not petitioning, but requesting to purchase the property.
Right.
So here we are today. I understand now that this is a process, obviously, that it comes to a resolution where it will be voted on, it comes to a public bid, et cetera. All I have to offer at this point is my willingness to bow out should anybody object to it, but I believe there are a few things that the city could appreciate and sort of as a benefit to the city. In some respect, it is obviously if the property is, as per 2 letters that I submitted to the city, initially is to purchase the property, and then it came to mind that I could potentially even exchange property that my father owns there that abuts to the property. Any amalgamation of that property and any breakup of that property and layout of that property, we would be willing to exchange for the property on Gaylord Court, if that makes sense. That might be way out of line. But in terms of the city, obviously, the city would have less upkeep and property and responsibility there. It is potentially a neighborhood improvement. It is a nice little neighborhood. I think a nice house after build would be an improvement there. Obviously, resident retention. I don't want to move to Canton or Plymouth or anywhere else for that matter. We do like it in Livonia. And finally, of course, is the property tax revenue. So in consideration of these things, I hope that the city would give this some thought. And if there's any questions to me, please feel free to ask.
Thank you. Vice President Barr, and then I know Mr. Donovic has a question.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President, and Mr. Alziget. Did I say it right?
Yes.
All right. And thank you for being here tonight. If I'm not mistaken, you've been here the entire time. I think I saw
have.
you earlier, so you've been very patient. Maybe it wasn't 100% clear to me. So it's your intent, when you're talking about possibly exchanging the property, your intent would be to move off of your current home and you're wanting to build a new home at this property,
We
right?
would retain the house on Schoolcraft, though, as well.
Okay, but I guess what I'm ultimately getting at is you want to purchase this property in order to build a new home there,
Correct.
right? Okay. I don't think I have any further questions. I think his request is reasonable. And good for you for creative mind on a walk or a drive in the neighborhood. I've seen this property before, and I'm actually a little bit surprised. Maybe somebody has asked in the past about this, but I think what's appropriate, and this is what's been recommended to us, and I think it makes sense, is to refer this to the administration, to Parks and Recreation, probably specifically, to just get their opinion on what to do with this. I think your request is totally valid. We just want to look at what the administration's view would be for that property before we make any big decisions. So I would offer that resolution to send it to the administration for recommendation.
Rob?
Thank you, Madam President. To my colleagues' comments, I think it makes sense. Without knowing what the city intended to do with the property, I don't know if anybody is familiar, because I Googled it and looked it up, and it's just a vacant lot, if I'm correct. So I don't understand what the city necessarily do with it. So I think we have an awesome opportunity to build a new home and keep some Livonia residents while we're doing it. I do have a question, and I might not even get an answer, but who determines the asking price? I don't know if that's a question for maybe Mr. Tormina through the chair.
It would go up to bid.
Yeah.
You couldn't just directly sell it to this gentleman. If it went up for sale, this gentleman may not get the property, and it may be somebody you don't,
Right.
somebody else that you may not want
Right.
to get that property. And I should add that I believe it's parkland too.
Yeah, it is parkland.
I had one more question. That's
Please.
what my question kind of was going to be is, what was there before? Was there a home there, or has it always been vacant?
It's always been, we looked at it because I believe I talked to the gentleman. There's several of us from the law department that did, and we told them the process to come through. When that was developed, that was like a fill-in subdivision, and those lots were never finished, and I think it was left intentionally vacant so that it'd be open space.
Okay.
Madam President, if I may.
Yes, please, Mr. Termina.
I think the proper course, first step would be to refer this to the Parks Commission. I believe that was suggested, although you had said refer to the administration. But the Parks Commission, normally this would go before the Planning Commission for the disposition of any city-owned property. However, because this is public land, it should first go to Parks. And then I guess the question to council would then be, depending on the recommendation from Parks Commission, if it would go directly to the Planning Commission to hold a public hearing, or would it first come back to the council before you made that decision? So, just want to ask that question. Give us some direction, depending on what happens at the Parks Commission.
Okay, so refer to the Parks Commission.
Yeah, modify my resolution for that.
I'm
Sorry, I misspoke.
Jim. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Jim and then me.
Okay. Mr. Daly?
Thank you. I don't want to go in an opposite direction necessarily here, but the fact that this is zoned parkland currently, I think my voting for this would be very unlikely. I think the residents, although it's open space right now, the residents who purchased their houses, understanding that it was parkland, have probably relied upon that. As a city, we also have a situation with this, there are certain grants out there that determine funding for our park system. Because of things we've done with our parkland in the past, we are below where we used to be in terms of acreage with our parklands, and further selling off parkland would continue to go in the negative direction as opposed to coming back in the positive direction. So I just want to be very clear to you and let you know that I probably would not be in support of it. And I think it's probably bad policy to sell parkland when it's been understood by other residents to be parkland. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember McCullough, just comment?
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. Through the chair to the
That's okay.
petitioner,
Let me-
have you reached out to any of the neighbors on Gaylord Court, just to, you know, just to ask them their
I
opinion?
have not. I've been a little hesitant about doing that before I
And that's-
saw it.
I too kind of share exactly what my colleague, Mr. Jolly, is bringing up, is with it being parkland and, you know, you kind of have a cul-de-sac there, I don't think I would be in support of changing this either. I value the opportunity that you bring, and I think it's a great idea, but I tell you what, if I was one of the homeowners on that cul-de-sac, I think I would enjoy the public land. That might have been a stipulation, but I don't think I would be in favor as well. Sorry. Thank you.
Understood, not offended.
Toy and then Donovan.
Okay. If I may, to Mr. Terramina, on a site, when it's city-owned like this, before it goes to Parks and Rec, do we require a sign up there that it possibly, or after it goes to Parks and Rec, you know what I'm saying, to say that it might be for sale, or it might be up for whatever, so that residents know that, or? I don't think we do we?
No, I don't believe a sign is required to be posted until such time that there would be a change of zoning
Okay,
or a lot split under certain conditions. I do know however, though, if the end result is to put the property up for bid, that surrounding property owners are notified. Any abutting property owner is
Okay.
given the opportunity to consider bidding on the property.
within so many feet, right? Yeah, yeah.
I believe it's just the adjacent owners.
Touching, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Mark, is completely right. It's the property owners that are touching it. But this is an interesting one because it would also require a rezone, as well as a sale, it would
Yeah,
require rezoning.
rezone, yeah.
So it's a complicated transaction. And I'm pretty sure, because I went down there and looked at it myself too.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that you would probably get a protest petition. And the two houses that are next door would be enough to probably do it. So I think it's a complicated one. And I think when we talked, we didn't hold out a great deal of hope. We explained the process, but didn't hold out, it's not our vote, clearly, in the law department, but we didn't hold out a great deal of hope that this might happen. Because I think have the conversations we had is the Parks Department, much like Mr. Jolly said, the Parks Recreation Commission doesn't really want to give up land.
Sure. No, I just wondered, and if I may for a minute, so that brings up the point, or begs the point, if it's city property, then if indeed it was identified as being sellable or whatever, would this gentleman, as well as anybody that touches it, then have the first right of, I know, you know, at one point when we looked at some property, it was because we were adjacent to it, we had the first right to bid on it or whatever. I'm trying to, it's fuzzy, but you know what I mean, I'm trying to remember it. Is that true still, even with
It would
our?
be a bidding process.
It would be, okay, strictly bidding. Thank you so much again. Thank
Only
you.
under very unique circumstances does the city waive the bidding process
Yes.
regarding the sale of city-owned land.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilmember Donovan.
Thank you, Madam President. Like some of my colleagues, unbeknownst to me, I didn't know that this was parkland. Looking at it from an aerial perspective, it looked like a cul-de-sac, and I just had assumed that either at one point there were homes there or the homes had never been built. I did not know it is parkland. So contingent upon what the Parks Commission would say, I'm not inclined to support selling parkland off. With the exception if the Park Commission says that it's not a utilized park and they're okay with that, they're the experts in Parks and Recreation. But I imagine to some of the comments made tonight, I would imagine the residents that moved in next door to that park assumed it would stay a park and it's city-owned. But I don't have a lot of intimate knowledge about those lots right there. Again, I assumed it was just lots that were never finishly built when the cul-de-sac was there. But I'd be interested to see what the Parks Commission says on this particular parcel. But thanks for coming here tonight.
I'd be interested in seeing that as well. I would also be interested in seeing whether the residents there that do touch, as Mr. Bernier mentioned, whether they would object to it. And obviously, like I'd said at the beginning, if there is an objection, I would withdraw that. And I do understand the argument for retaining parkland. That is clearly a good thing. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Madam President.
I'm sorry. No, did you have another comment?
No, you don't have to apologize. I just had one quick comment.
Sure.
Yeah. I was just going to tell you, I do want to send this Parks and Rec, like I said, just to get their formal recommendation on it. But just to your last comment about you don't know what the neighbors say, I'll just say, having spent more than a decade on Planning Commission and City Council, I have yet, this is a true statement, I have yet to see a development of any kind that the neighbors like.
Yeah.
So I'm just telling you what's coming from that standpoint. But I would be interested to hear my resolution I'd still stand with, just to get the formal feedback from them. Thanks.
All right, thank you very
Thank you
much.
all.
Thank you for coming tonight. All right, item number 2 is the reappointment of Ken Harp to the Livonia Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. This comes to us from the Office of the Mayor for a term which will expire November 4th, 2024. Good evening, Mr. Harp.
Hi.
I'll move it.
Well,
It's not a regular meeting.
it's not a regular meeting.
Oh, it
This
is?
Study. No, this is a study.
I know, but I was
Well,
gonna ask for the
I was going to
appointment.
see, I don't know, LaShawn, are you
Okay.
representing the mayor's office this evening? I
Oh,
thought maybe
okay.
we were going to hear from the
Okay,
petitioner.
certainly, sure.
Please, Ms. Thomas.
I just got so excited seeing Ken, I thought I'd move it real quick.
Thank you, Madam President. It's my pleasure to request the reappointment of Ken Harp to the Livonia Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. Ken Harp is no stranger to the Livonia community. A resident for 30-plus years, he has served as past member of the Livonia Human Relations Commission and the Livonia Zoning Board of Appeals. He is also a former member of both the Michigan State Police Retirement Board and Basilica of St. Mary's. Ken's professional career with Wells Fargo Advisors spans 3 decades. He holds a bachelor's degree from the University of Michigan Dearborn in business, economics, and finance. He has been married to his wife Kathy for 33 years. And I believe that Ken would like to say something.
All right, Mr. Herb.
Really, this is like really overwhelming. If I had to say anything, I'd like to thank the mayor, Mayor Brosnan, for the reappointment, and I appreciate the council's consideration to serve the city. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes,
Well, since he went to the University of Michigan, I will ask for his reappointment then, and concur with the administration.
would you like that on consent?
Consent, so he doesn't have to come back and live through this.
All right, any objections?
But did he go to Bentley?
Exactly, yes, do you go to Bentley, Ms.
I don't think you went to Bentley, did you?
No.
Okay, well,
Maybe I'll withdraw that.
I was
No,
going
I'm
to
teasing.
ask you.
You had enough carbs at Bentley that.
Yes, sir.
All right, so, yes, Rob?
Thanks, Madam President. Just briefly, I'm happy to see that you're being reappointed. You've been a very active member of society, of our community, and it's good to know good folks like you are helping out and doing good things in the community. So thanks, Ken.
Thank you.
All right,
And thank LaShawn for
Okay.
those comments.
thank you, Ken, and enjoy that wedding of your son this weekend.
Thank you very much.
Happy for the
Have a
Harp
great
family.
day.
All right, thank you. All right, item number 3 is the reappointment of Dylan Breen to the Livonia Brownfield Development Authority. This comes from the Office of the Mayor for a term which will expire November 4th, 2024. Ms. Thomas?
Thank you, Madam President. It is again my pleasure to request the reappointment of Dylan Breen to the Livonia Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. Dylan Breen has been a member of the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority since 2019. He has previously served on the Human Relations Commission and the Local Officers Compensation Commission. Dylan earned his bachelor's degree of science in geology from Calvin College with a minor in geography. Additionally, he holds an environmental analyst certificate and a land resources analyst certificate from the Sable Institute of Environmental Studies. He also holds an associate in arts from Schoolcraft College, where he currently serves as a member of the college's Board of Trustees. Dylan is an active member in the Southeast Michigan Council of Governments, SIMCOG, where he serves as a member of the Executive Committee, Regional Review Committee, and as a General Assembly delegate. He's also a member of the Wayne County Apportionment Commission.
How's
Thank
that
you.
going?
And I appreciate the opportunity to be able to serve again. I appreciate the confidence of Mayor Brosnan for nominating me for reappointment.
Madam President,
Yes, Mr. Barr.
be happy to offer approving for consent if there's no objection. Thanks for your service to our community, Dylan.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, Madam President. I'd also like to say just great job to Mr. Breen, and looking forward to your continued service in the community. Just like Mr. Harb, you guys do great things in our city, and thanks for continuing to serve.
Thank you, Councilman.
Jim?
Thank you, Madam President. It's not often we get a Schoolcraft Board of Trustee member here. So I feel like I can't leave the opportunity, although this is your moment here, to bring up the bumper sticker on the side of the soccer dome. Just to let you know that that's something that's on my radar. I'd appreciate it if you, in your position with Schoolcraft, would look into it. You do great work for the city. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll make sure I bring that up to the other trustees. It has been discussed, so you know, something is in the works.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Councilmember Toy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Dylan, you've been a true asset to our community, and you were one of the younger ones, and now Rob, of course, is trying to steal your light there, so I'm only joking, but in all seriousness, Dylan has done some fabulous things, and we just are so glad you came back from college and decided to stay here, and we can use your intellect and your learned experiences. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, certainly.
All right, thank you. And that's on consent, Dylan, so, right? Yes, so you don't need to come back, but we always like to see you.
Okay, thank you
All
very
right,
much.
thank you so much, Dylan. All right, item number 4 is request to extend contract with Havner Tech Incorporated. This comes from the Department of Public Works for as-needed repairs to the catch basin, storm sewer, and concrete slab stabilization program, an amount to exceed $50,000 annually for 2 years from budget funds. Council Resolution 290-18. Good evening, Mr. Rushall.
Good evening, everyone. Jacob Rushlow, Assistant Director of Public Works. In July 2018, Council approved a contract between the City of Livonia and Havner Tech for this as-needed catch basin, storm sewer, and concrete slab stabilization repair program. At that time, a 2-year contract was approved with the option for an additional 2 years. Havner Tech has agreed to a 2-year extension with no increase in their current pricing. The Department of Public Works has worked with this company over the last 2 years on the repair of around 100 catch basins using their quick trenchless technology for rehabilitating those structures. And we've also been very impressed with their capabilities to perform these services on catch basins as well as on large culverts and concrete slab stabilization that we had them do on another project. Funding for this contract is budgeted within the road maintenance fund and will greatly improve our ability to quickly stabilize failing catch basins and storm sewers while saving money for the city through this program. With that, DPW is requesting a not to exceed amount of $50,000 per year to make the necessary repairs and infrastructure system improvements.
Great.
Thank you. Yes, Councilmember Jolly.
So, Mr. Rushlow, it says here that the council resolution was 290 of 18. You mentioned that it was a 2-year contract with a 2-year renewal.
Correct, yeah.
So that contract automatically renewed for the second 2 years without coming to council?
So it did not when, I'm glad you asked that, Mr. Jolly. So it was approved in 18 through the process of getting contractual documentation signed and approved. We didn't actually start work with them until 2019 when the contract was signed. So the first year we did work with them was in 2019. So we worked with them for 2 years, 19 and 20. Here in 21, we're looking for their renewal to continue through what's left with this year, which in talking with the owner of the company, he can still come in and do repairs for us this year on our list that we prepare every year for those 50 catch basins that we have planned. and then he'll do another 50 catch basin repairs for us next year as well.
So we're talking about the second 2 years here,
We're in the second 2 years right now. 21 and 22 would be the 2 years.
and that's what's coming before us now?
Correct.
Should this have come before us earlier or no? I'm just trying to understand the years here.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could have, you know, my fault in not bringing it to you sooner, but it was up for renewal this year. With everything else that we had going on, this one kind of fell to the back burner of, you know, really nice program, technique where we can quickly rehab structures. We were preparing a list throughout the year and then came to the realization that, well, we need to get approval before we can do this year's program through an extension. We need to do that right now so we can do that before the weather changes, which is why we're here in front of you late this year.
I'm going to offer an approving for consent. I just want to make sure, they haven't done any work / we haven't paid them on the second 2 years.
We have not paid them on the
Okay.
second 2 years yet, no.
Then it's not an issue. All right. Thank you. I'll offer an approving for consent.
All right, any objections? Seeing none, it's on consent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, number 5 is a request to approve a 5-year extension of the lease of 5 acres of city-owned property located at 3200 Glendale Avenue, Department of Public Works, regarding Mid-Michigan Recycling LC for wood processing and disposal service, Council Resolution 71-17. Good evening, Mr. Moore.
Good evening, Council. Doug Moore with the Department of Public Works. I'm here to talk about the Mid-Michigan Wood Waste Recycling Yard. It was first approved by Council in 2009, extended in 2014 and 2017. We are asking Council to consider a 5-year contract renewal with an optional extension of 5 years with the consent of each party. The yard first started in Plymouth Township in 2004 or 5 and moved to the Glendale site in 2009 as a response to the devastation caused by the emerald ash borer. The chips are hauled to the Genesee Power Cogeneration Plant in Flint, where they are burned for electricity. Enough electricity is produced to power 2,161 houses a year. City contractors using the benefit come from the forestry section of Department of Public Works. This would be the tree trimming, the removal, and the planning contractors, the 3 city-owned golf courses, the engineering road projects, the housing department, and inspection department when the city has to remove a dangerous private tree. Livonia receives $44,309 annually, or $221,545 over the 5-year lease on the site. In addition, Livonia residents and contractors under contract for city projects receive the added benefit of dumping wood-generated material for free. Over the last 2 years, this benefit was costed at $51,750 a year, or $4,312.50 a month in a free service. The department is asking Council to approve the 5-year contract renewal with a possible 5-year extension with the Mid-Michigan Wood Recycling Yard on vacant city-owned land atop the Glendale property. And I will say that watching Farmington Road at times today, it was truck after truck. They were either hauling them out or trucks were hauling them in to dump them. Wood chips are dumped for free. The cost is in the wood, the logs and the limbs from trucks that get hauled in.
Madam President?
Madam Chair.
Yeah.
Vice President Barr?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so what you're saying, Doug, is we've got otherwise vacant city land where someone who's doing a service for us that we would otherwise have to provide is bringing this stuff, and then it powers 2,161 houses per year equivalent of electricity, and we make money for this?
Yes.
I'll offer this for consent with no objection.
Mr. Donovan?
Thanks, Madam President. I've been to the site a few times. I know residents drop off stumps and other logs and whatnot they have as residents, which I think is a great service for the community. And my favorite part is the free wood chip pile, that you can drive up there and grab some free wood chips for your house. So I think it's awesome. I'm waiting for Councilwoman Laura Toy to ask me to go pick up some wood chips for her landscaping. So thanks for what everyone does there. I think it's a great service to our residents. And like Councilmember Barr said, the city actually generates revenue from this piece of property.
If we did not have the wood yard, we would be paying to have our wood chips hauled out.
For sure.
Yep,
Madam President.
yes,
Oh,
Vice
Just
President
want to
Brennan.
ask Mr. Moore if he could make more of a habit of coming to us with requests for us to make money instead of
I will.
spending money.
I wish.
Yes,
Yeah, thank you.
Councilmember Toy.
And Mr. Moore, I know there's some environmental stuff that can be done with wood, as far as, the logs and other things that are kind of inventive, if you will, as we move on. Wood tends to be rather popular these days with this generation of people. I know our fire chief has a beautiful wood table in his conference room over there, that one of them does some gorgeous work over there. So there's other things I think that we could repurpose some wood too, as we move on and we open our minds to perhaps looking at other ventures and other kinds of things environmentally. Our environmental committee had a preview of that a bit, and while it may not be feasible right now, I would hope in the future we could look at that
Yes.
kind of, repurposing of wood.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug, appreciate it. All right, item number 6 is request to authorize additional appropriation expenditure. This comes from the Department of Public Works for the additional scope of work through change order on the Cavell Street Water Main Replacement Project and provide payment to D&D Water and Sewer Incorporated in a moment not to exceed $43,752.59 for these services from budgeted funds of the Water and Sewer Fund. Council Resolution 180-21. Mr.
Thank you.
Russell.
Good evening again. Jacob Rushlow, Assistant Director of Public Works. This item is in relation to the Cavell Water Main Replacement Project that was awarded to D&D Water and Sewer per Council Resolution 180-21. During the installation of this new water main, we discovered there were adjacent underground utilities too close to the planned pipe location, and the new water main had to be moved from that location, which was in the green belt of the right-of-way between the sidewalk and the curb. We had to move it further away from the road, and directly under the sidewalk was our only clear path to install this new main. Unfortunately, by doing so, that necessitated the need to remove and replace a significant amount of sidewalk to complete the water main installation. In addition to that, there was a previously unknown 3-inch diameter water service line that was discovered within the project limits that had to be replaced with the new installation of the new main, which was not planned. All that combined, our consulting engineer doing the construction administration had prepared a change order in the amount of $43,752.59 that would need to be approved for additional funds to proceed with the additional scope, or for payment for these additional scope items from budgeted funds of the Water and Sewer Fund.
Council,
Madam President, I will-
Councilmember Jolly.
I will offer an approving for consent.
Thank you. Any comments? All right, seeing none. That is approved on consent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rushlow. Item number 7, site plan petition. This comes to us from the Planning Commission regarding petition 2021-08-08-05, submitted by Hellier Lewis, recording to remodel the exterior of Citizens Bank at 37307 6 Mile Road, located on the south side of 6 Mile Road between Levan and Newburgh Roads in the northwest section of 17. And we have new data for item number 7, and that was revised building maintenance plan. And that was submitted to us on, today, is that correct? On today? Additional, yes, so, we should all have the new data. All right, Mr. Termina?
Sure, I can provide a little background on this. So this is an after-the-fact request involving changes to the Citizens Branch Bank located on 6 Mile Road, just east of Newburgh Road. This is before you for the simple reason that the building is located within a vicinity control zone, so any changes, exterior modifications to the building first have to be approved by the Planning Commission and City Council. The work that was done on this building was done without knowledge of the process, so the petitioner is here before you seeking your your approval after the fact, as I indicated. This is the building the way it appeared before the changes were made, and afterwards, you can see the color scheme completely changed on the bank. This included squaring off the main central or entrance tower, replacing the brick that was on that with a new material, in this case a composite, painting the ephes green, and painting all of the brick on the building white. So the other piece of new data that you have before you is actually from the prior owner of this property, which, Mr. Frankel, it's a communication. He did retain some type of covenant or restriction regarding the architecture of the building. He has actually indicated that he has approved the elevation on the bottom of this, so that would require some changes to the painting scheme on the upper facade of the building. He has not yet approved the tower element the way you see it here. That's something that is ongoing apparently. I'll let Mr. Kagan describe the communication that they've had, but the Planning Commission has approved this, but subject to that maintenance plan that you referenced earlier. What their main concern is now that the brick is painted, you know, how's it gonna be maintained? And that was the reason for the plan that was presented to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President?
Yes.
So before I go too far into this, I live right over there. I see this building quite often. It looks better. It's a big improvement.
Thank you.
But I have some concerns, not in regards to this particular building, but I'm curious how often this happens and at what point the city finds out that unauthorized work has been done. And if and when this happens, and I'm not looking to fine you or anything like that, is there any recourse from the city against those actors who do work and complete work in projects without going through the appropriate process?
Well, this is the recourse at this point, so it's requiring him to go through the process he would normally have to follow.
It's like a day late and a dollar short, though. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, it's probably easier to convince somebody to let you do something after you've already done it. And again, not towards you, but in the grand scheme of things, that seems a little backwards. And I think we can kind of understand why, right? Because you can't say no when something's already done.
Yeah, when it comes to the fees, I know there's inspection can apply double fees for work that is done without permit. In this case, that would involve just modifications to that tower element. The painting is something that typically doesn't require any permit per se, but there were no fines or anything like that issued here. I mean, the risk he runs is having to go back and spend another $50,000 to $75,000 bringing it back to its original condition if you decide that it's not something we want to live with.
Well, I hope that there's some kind of process within City Hall or with the inspectors out there in the field to look for sites like this and make sure that the appropriate process has been followed initially, so that there aren't issues that are kind of skating under the radar that get away from us. With that being said, in regards to this particular project, if you are waiting for Mr. Frankel to give his, right? Did I say that correctly? If you're waiting for him to give his approval for this tower element, why are you here before us now? Wouldn't you wait until he approves it so that we can approve it and move on the road here?
No. Excuse me. Paul Gagel, Project Manager for Citizens Bank. My work address is 27777 Franklin Road, Southfield, Michigan, 48034. What got us here today, a little backstory is, we submitted our plans showing the exterior work to the city for review. We received comments back for some interior things, and our architect, through their due diligence, did not catch the ordinance. And when we received the comments back, there were no specific comments, Mr. Jolly, to just the exterior work, that we had to go through planning and zoning, so it was not flagged on either side. So it was a combined miss between the city and between our architect for that. That's how we got here. And then when we submitted a plan for additional signage for variance, during that planning commission meeting, it was identified and discovered that, hey, by the way, they did exterior work. We issued an interior building permit, which we assumed was a building permit for everything, so we just went full blast at it. So that's how we got to where we're at now. Now, we are actually sitting on a ground lease with Mr. Frankel. We own the building. So during the course of approvals and things like that for the sign packages, as owner of the building, we signed off on the applications or for the applications to get that. During our due diligence of the lease, Mr. Frankel has certain comments about the easements of the property, which are, up to our curbs. But there is one thing in the lease that the elements, the design elements should match the building. But it's my understanding, based on previous meetings, that that's not an enforceable act, or it's not enforceable by our lease, is my understanding. So I have been discussing this with Mr. Frankel. We've talked about the color of green. Part of your new package should have a couple options of the renderings with the green that we did. That was just submitted this morning. We didn't get it in Friday. We got it in first thing this morning. And my conversation with Mr. Frankel on Friday was, he likes the green on the lower band, but he asked if we could do a rendering. He just threw this at me last week. I didn't get a chance to do any rendering. I'm still working on it with our design team, and that's why I included in the package today, that was submitted today, we have a couple of locations. This has now become our corporate image, and we're doing this throughout our entire footprint from here out to the East Coast when we renovate a property. So that's why I wanted you folks to have that in your package today, to see that we are doing this. We just did it in Royal Oak, and we did it in Dearborn Heights.
Okay. Thank you for all that information. It's
Okay.
very useful. I'm going to offer an approving for the regular agenda, so you can come back in 2 weeks and show us the final piece before we actually approve it.
Okay?
And I think that's just natural. That's what we can do for you, since you don't have a final rendering at this point.
All right.
Councilmember Toy.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you for investing in our community. While you may have missed a few steps here, and that's important, as has been pointed out to you, but seriously, in this day and age, for small businesses, whether it's banks or a bakery or a restaurant or whatever, flower shop too, yeah, you're right. No, in all seriousness, there's a lot of challenges out there today, with the COVID, the economy, et cetera. And small businesses, they used to say they're the backbone of our nation. I'm beginning to wonder about that, because we need to treat them with the utmost care and the utmost understanding when it comes to things. And, maybe the chamber can help out on this by saying, if you've got a project you're doing in your business, you might want to visit the city, you know what I mean, before you start things. Because some people just don't know. They're naive to some of this. I know when we revamped our building, it was a long process, and we weren't real sure, and I'd been in government, and it's like, what do you do? What permits do I need? What kinds of things between the county and the state and, everybody else. So it gets a little confusing at times. So I know this council's been great with people and understanding, and Mark Taramina and his team, and just our whole city, Paul, and not to name names, but everybody's just been very cooperative, and Todd, you can't ask for better, so
No, and
thank you.
I thank you for that, and I agree.
And Rob, too.
I've been
Yeah.
before the council before on other projects the bank has done. We have other branches here in Livonia as well, so.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
Mr. Jolly, just to clarify something here, my conversation with Mr. Frankel was, come back, see if you come back with something. If ultimately the design team, the internal design team says, this is our design element, this is our corporate image, much like when I spoke with Mr. Frankel, I mentioned to him about the red on the big boy that doesn't match anything in the center either. He owns that building, but he stated it goes towards their corporate image.
Yeah.
If this is our corporate image, and internally, we can't make a change or not, I don't know where we'll be at that point in time.
Yeah, so listen, I think you've done a great job clarifying everything that's gone on. I have nothing but positive thoughts in regards to what you've presented here tonight. one way or another, we're gonna take the final vote on this at the next meeting. This is only a study meeting, so we can't give you a final approval tonight. Because it's undetermined what you will have to present as a final project at that point, we'll take the vote after looking at that. Otherwise, we'd have to take it as a consent item. And as a consent item, we don't typically vote on something when there's not a determined, elevation and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, make sure that we get the final product of whatever it is you're proposing. I don't anticipate it being a problem, not from me anyways. I can't speak for everybody else, but I can't imagine it would be.
Okay.
I think you're in good standing,
Well,
I would presume, but.
I appreciate that, and based on that statement, part of the package today showed that we still have to install an awning above the front door. And we put that on hold when we started coming to these meetings. But because of the time of year and whatnot, if that would not have a negative impact, I'd like to go ahead and proceed and get that awning in before the weather changes too much. It's below the brown, it's above the front door, there's a drawing in the package.
Yeah, I think I can speak for everybody where I said, I think we'd all prefer you do it all at once.
All right, I had to ask.
Of course, and listen,
Okay,
thank you.
okay, thank you.
All right, so we'll see you back, certainly.
Now, through the chair to the petitioner, do you, for building permit wise, are you finalized on everything else?
Yes.
All right, so everything's there?
Yes, we've got full building inspection, certificate of occupancy, fires.
Any site outstanding issues?
I've got some minor punch list items to
But
do
not
on the
minor.
interior, but
Okay.
no, nothing outstanding, other than the awning I mentioned on the
Yeah, I
exterior
would
work.
include
That's
that
the
in
only
just to
thing.
make sure you get it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's safe to say, I mean, you guys knocked that reno out in what, like 6 weeks? With a
We
mill and
we had
overlay?
about 4 weeks to do it. That's typically our rate when we do a renovation like this. We shut down and try to get open as quickly as possible to minimize the impact of customer loss.
And you did a mill and overlay on the parking lot too, right? Or was it full?
We did, yes, we did. We
Yeah.
did the parking lot as well.
Cool. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, we'll see you on November 8th.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Have a nice evening.
You too, thank you, sir. All right, item number 8, Planning Commission petition, this is from the Planning Commission regarding petition 2021-08-02-16 submitted by Melody Hastings requesting to operate a daycare nursery, Kid Venture Child Care Center at 10531 Farming.
I think we yanked this one. Moved.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. We'll hear that on November 8th. Item number, which is now 8, was 9, request to approve the Sixth Amendment lease agreement between the City of Livonia and New Singular Wireless PCS LLC, doing business as AT&T Wireless PCS LLC. This comes to us from the Department of Law to accommodate requests to move and upgrade the equipment on the tower. These are council resolutions 20-21, 241-20, 406-18, and council resolution 29-12, and 120-98, and 18-97.
Who's up?
This is
Mr.
just,
Bernier, you're up.
this is just an upgrade to the tower. They're gonna add some more items to it, and we're gonna charge them some more money for that use of that space.
But we're limited, correct, as to what we can charge?
Absolutely.
Approving.
Madam President,
Just a minute. Rob?
I'd
and
like to
then
offer an
Kathy White.
approving on consent if there's no objection.
Thank you. Councilmember White?
Paul,
Yes.
does this upgrade have to do with the 5G,
Do
world?
we even have to mention 5G?
Just curious if they're doing this to improve their service.
I honestly, I don't,
You don't
Mr.
know.
Fisher took care of that.
Okay.
I don't
Just
think it
curious.
does. I think they're just adding some more capabilities, but I don't think 5G.
5G.
I think it's too far from another 5G tower to make it, but that's just my guess.
Okay, thank you, Paul.
All right. We have that on the consent. We go back at this time to the audience communication. If there's anyone in the audience who did not communicate with the council on any item on this evening's agenda and you'd like to do so? All right, going once, twice, 3 times. And with that, we are adjourned. Good night, Livonia. Thank you, Livonia TV.